Apple MacBook Air 15 M4. This MacBook Air 15 with the M4 chip breezes through everyday work like a caffeinated intern at a startup, and it practically whispers as it runs, fanless and impressively silent. The colors are vibrant. The sound system is a mini concert hall, but brace yourself. Rivals now flash sharper screens and faster Wi-Fi, so you might miss out on a few modern party tricks if you want the latest tech. Unless you absolutely crave that ultra-thin Apple polish and stellar battery life, this price puts the Air well outside the under $1,000 club, so here comes the verdict. 3 out of 10. MSI Thin GF63. If your dream gaming setup involves ramen and budget-friendly hardware, the MSI Thin GF63 is a lightweight hero with power just enough for competitive Fortnite matches. Though thin also describes its screen. Dull, not bright, and definitely calling out for a break from sunlight. The keyboard feels like playing on a lunch tray, and storage fills up faster than your fridge on pizza night. But hey, it's cheap and will play most games as long as your expectations are as modest as your wallet. 5 out of 10. HP Victus 15. The HP Victus 15 flexes with sturdy build and thermal bravado, letting you game hard on ultra settings and handle heavy work tasks. But it's about as nimble as a sumo wrestler and won't last a full workday unplugged. The 144Hz display tries for excellence but ends up with ghostly trails and washed-out colors, so get ready to squint at movies in bright rooms. Plenty of keyboard real estate for your clumsy fingers, but digital artists and desk jockeys will notice the Victus coasting on mediocrity outside the gaming lane. 6 out of 10. ASUS TUF Gaming A16. Buckle up, this teeth is a powerhouse that wrings every ounce of gaming muscle from its Ryzen chip. But it is about as portable as a house cat after a heavy meal, and the RAM is stuck tighter than your bank account after rent day. At least it keeps its cool and remains mostly silent unless you unleash turbo mode. Just do not pick the base display unless you want colors as accurate as your uncle's fish stories. Top notch for the price. But those soldered innards are like a surprise bad haircut you cannot fix. 7 out of 10. Acer Predator Helios Neo 16. If budget gaming laptops had a prom king, this one would show up in a sharp suit with chunky shoes. It throws down solid performance with its RTX graphics, but the battery life clocks out long before your gaming session does, and carrying it feels like packing for a hostage negotiation. The display is big and beautiful for the price, and when you catch it on sale, it is an absolute steal. But it is so loaded down with bloatware, you will spend your first hour just uninstalling junk. All things considered, it is a beefy bargain, but still needs a gym membership for those battery gains. 6 out of 10. ASUS Vivobook S14 OLED. This little Vivobook gleams with its slick OLED display and featherlight frame, and honestly, the battery life is so nuts you may forget it even needs charging. Unless you are playing games, then, well, good luck. Performance is snappy with Ryzen AI under the hood, making it a top pick for students and people who want to look productive at coffee shops. But the build feels just shifty enough that you might want a gentle touch. For under $1,000, it is sleek, quick, tough to beat for everyday action, but do not expect gaming glory. 8 out of 10. Lenovo Legion 15. This chunky plastic beast is trying very hard to convince you it's not just a budget gaming laptop. Even as its creaky shell and potato webcam scream, "I was built on a Tuesday afternoon." Typing on it feels so good you might actually want to write that novel, but just be careful not to pull a muscle hauling it around. Its weight is practically a free gym membership. 1080p gaming is solid thanks to the RTX graphics, but the display is so average and dreary you might wonder if you're playing in grayscale, and storage speeds are slower than your grandpa's dial-up. 5 out of 10. MSI Cyborg 15. This slick-looking laptop tries very hard to be the cool kid at the under $1,000 party, flashing its RTX 4060 for snappy gaming. Just don't ask it to lift heavy weights in Cyberland because it'll sweat in ultra settings. The keyboard feels punchy, the design is futuristic, and it runs decent frame rates. But the screen is so drab and dim, you might think you paid for a discount sunglasses simulator. Plus, the sharp edges are eager to slice your wrists. It keeps its cool without sounding like a jet engine. But between mediocre everyday performance and a plasticky vibe, you're really just getting playable power without the plush. 6 out of 10. Acer Nitro 16. Packing a roomy and vibrant 16-inch display that could make your Netflix binge blush, it delivers strong game performance at 1080p, making explosions and colors almost painfully bright. If you crank the volume, you might even hear the action through its so-so speakers. It's got decent battery life and G-Sync to keep the visuals smooth, but bring a forklift because this all-plastic hulk is bulky enough to double as a personal trainer, and the webcam pixel count wouldn't impress a potato. Find it on sale, and you've got a budget winner with entry-level gaming chops, and a screen that outshines pricier rivals. Just don't expect it to harmonize a symphony or travel light. 8 out of 10. Acer Nitro V15. The Nitro V15 cranks out decent frames for your buck, but the screen is about as exciting as watching paint dry, and the fans sound like a jet engine prepping for takeoff. Sure, you get respectable upgrade options and a comfy keyboard, but if you want to actually see your game and not just hear it over the fan tornado, lower your expectations. It's budget gaming with compromise, so maybe save some coins for headphones and a blindfold. 6 out of 10. Lenovo Legion Slim 5 Gen 8. This Legion Slim 5 tries to squash high-end specs into a thin shell, and for under $1,000, it squeezes out impressive power and a slick display. But watch out, that Zen processor runs hotter than a spicy meme on a summer day. The build is sturdy, the keyboard is a delight, and it's almost stylish enough to sneak past your boss at work. Just don't expect battery miracles if you plan a marathon session. If you want a svelte laptop that game wrecks for less, this one flexes all the right muscles in the budget gym. 9 out of 10. MSI Katana 15. The Katana 15 slices into the budget scene with sharp specs and lively RGB, but the display is so dim and bland, you might just miss your entire game if you blink twice. Performance is punchy for the price, and upgrade options abound. But between the hot keyboard and a battery life that vanishes faster than your willpower at 3 a.m., it's definitely not for everyone. Great sword, but the blade needs polishing. Bring your own sunlight. 5 out of 10. Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3. This budget laptop struts onto the scene looking all sleek and modern, but then trips over a teeny tiny SSD and single stick of RAM, which makes gaming feel about as energetic as my grandma after Thanksgiving dinner. The speakers are great, but good luck hearing those game-winning moments when you are stuck at the bottom of the frame rate leaderboard. Even Fortnite might start to look like a slideshow if things get demanding. For productivity, it does all right, and you can add more RAM later, but you will need to keep your expectations modest unless running retro games is your jam. 4 out of 10. MSI Katana A15 AI. This katana slices through games with Ryzen muscle and NVIDIA power sharp enough to make your old laptop jealous, pulling off buttery frame rates in TAA titles at 1080p, and even smashing through Cyberpunk 2077 with style. However, the battery life is about as fleeting as my New Year's resolutions, so you will want to stay plugged in like a life support machine. Plus, it is bulkier than you might expect, and the fans sound like they are auditioning for a wind tunnel. For gaming on a budget, it is a strong performer with lots of ports. Just forgive its weight and bring headphones if you value your eardrums. 7 out of 10. MSI Thin 15. They named it Thin, and they meant it. This featherweight laptop is easy to tote around and throws down respectable gaming performance, thanks to its RTX graphics and snappy screen that makes every headshot feel just a bit sweeter. The battery is not the life of the party, but at least cooling keeps things chill enough so you won't fry your lap. And the keyboard is comfy for those marathon sessions where time disappears. It is not earth-shattering, but for this price, portability and power finally hook up at the next LAN party. 7 out of 10. Dell G15. The Dell G15 marches in like a tank, ready to game hard. But good luck fitting this chunky fellow in your backpack or explaining the charger size to airport security. The screen's vibrant, the hardware punches above its budget class, but the battery clocks out early and the trackpad is so tiny you might need a magnifying glass. If you do not mind a slightly mushy keyboard and some seriously awkward port placements, it is a solid pick for gaming. Just don't expect much style or stamina. 5 out of 10. Asus ROG Zephyrus G14. The Zephyrus G14 shows up looking slick and compact, almost like it is prepping for a fashion runway, with its featherweight body and enough Ryzen NVIDIA firepower to run games at high settings without breaking a sweat. Battery life is suspiciously good for a gaming rig, and it multitasks like it is auditioning to be your new personal assistant, but the older model's screen and storage are not super fancy, and you will need to find today's deals to grab it under $1,000. If you want quick, quiet, premium gaming without lugging around a brick, this one is a winner. 9 out of 10. Acer Predator Helios 300. The Helios 300 comes dressed like your reliable friend who brings snacks to game night. Beefy performance for modern AAA games, a solid build, and frame rates that hit triple digits when the planets align. But it skimps hard on battery life, sneaks in storage that fills up alarmingly fast, and the speakers sound like they are underwater at times. If you only care about pumping out high frame rates at a good price and do not mind the occasional audio fumble, this beast gets the job done. 6 out of 10. Gigabyte G6X. The Gigabyte G6X blasts its way through games with a beefy RTX 4060 inside, but the screen is about as colorful as a rainy Tuesday, and the keyboard feels more mushy than marshmallows at a campfire. Fan noise hits jet engine levels, so be ready for takeoff every time you open a spreadsheet or a Steam game. If you want raw power for less cash and can live with a washed-out display and spongy keys, this budget beast will do the job, but also make you wish you spent a smidge more for something less plasticky. 5 out of 10. Gigabyte GMF. The Gigabyte G5 MF serves up solid gaming muscle with an RTX 4050 and a snappy i5, all wrapped in a surprisingly sturdy black chassis that sports some cool RGB keyboard action. Just do not expect jaw-dropping colors or mind-blowing sound from those tinny speakers. Battery claims a near full workday, but turn up the volume and you are met with screeching treble, plus the laptop's lid feels flimsy enough to make you double-check your warranty. If you seek budget performance and do not mind minor ghosting or muddled audio, the G5 is easily a contender. Just do not bring it to a dark room movie night. 7 out of 10. Lenovo LoQ15. Lenovo's LoQ15 comes out swinging with top-notch typing comfort and decent 1080p gaming, but the ho-hum screen is bland and the plastic build is so hefty it could double as a doorstop. The performance is fine for daily grind, but do not expect stellar speed with the base specs. Spend a bit more and you get way more elsewhere. If you love crunching numbers and want something cheap that gets the job done without looking or feeling great, it will make you smile for its price. Just not for long gaming marathons. 6 out of 10. MSI Thin A15. This machine is thinner than a pancake on a diet and packs just enough punch to make your everyday gaming dreams a reality, as long as you keep those graphics cravings set to medium. The battery life is more quick snack than banquet, so keep one eye on the nearest power outlet while you frag and flail. But for under 1,000, you get lightness and slimness, not strong muscles, so expect a few stutters if you ask too much. 5 out of 10. Dell G16 7630. The Dell G16 rolls in, swinging a beastly 16-inch display, enough RAM to make your browser tabs blush, and a mechanical keyboard that clicks like it's practicing for a robot symphony. Sure, it gets warmer than a summer sidewalk and heavier than your childhood mistakes, but with blazing performance and a QHD Plus screen, it treats games like an overdue bill, paid in full. This is basically the king of budget gaming, and every review tells you to buy it and not think twice. 9 out of 10. Acer Aspire Go 15. The Acer Aspire Go 15 is as basic as a small town's coffee shop. Plastic all the way, but surprisingly sturdy if you ignore its spongy lid and lack of keyboard bling. Performance is fine for your light daily needs, and battery life will outlast your willpower at work. But the screen's colors are more foggy sunrise than rainbow explosion, so keep your expectations grounded. If your main goal is maximum thrift and all-day unplugged action, this will make you smile just enough, until you spot the next sale. 4 out of 10. ASUS ZenBook 14, OLED Q425. This featherweight speedster comes decked out with a jaw-dropping OLED display that makes Netflix binges look like mini cinema premieres. Battery life lasts until tomorrow, but the mid-range build and shaky hinge are definitely not winning any arm wrestling contests against sturdier rivals. For its slick screen and long-lasting juice, it's a fun pick. Just ignore the flex when you open it up. 7 out of 10. Lenovo ThinkBook 16 Gen 7. The ThinkBook 16 Gen 7 is basically the marathon runner of budget laptops, clocking nearly 21 hours of battery life while looking business casual in its Luna gray suit. It tackles spreadsheets and calls without breaking a sweat, but its display is so dim, you may start questioning reality, and the whole package is heavy enough to count as portable only if you're into weightlifting. Battery life buffs rejoice, everyone else maybe keep shopping. 6 out of 10. Dell 14 Plus DB450. The Dell 14 Plus is about as exciting as a lukewarm cup of coffee, with a chunky bezel and a washed-out display that screams, maybe next year. At least the keyboard and battery life will get you through your day without drama, but shallow audio and a flimsy touchpad turn multitasking into a patience test for all but the bravest. If reliability is your jam, this will do, but fun, not so much. 5 out of 10. HP EliteBook 840G10. If you want a laptop that means serious business, look no further than the HP EliteBook 840G10, rocking a sleek and sturdy design that whispers, "I could survive a toddler with sticky fingers." Under the hood, it flexes with the latest Intel chips and a bright, color-punchy display. But let's face it, this thing's meant for work, not for gaming marathons or creative pyrotechnics. For under $1,000, it's almost too buttoned up, like showing up to a pool party in business socks. So unless you need that corporate polish, consider this a solid but slightly stiff handshake. 7 out of 10.